is the Celebrity Afterlife Report podcast.
Hello and welcome to yet another edition of the Celebrity Afterlife Report, the only show on the internet that gives you all the up-to-the-minute gossip about your favorite deceased celebrities. I'm your host, the Celebrity Medium. We've got a big steaming kettle of gossip to give you this week, so let's dig in. If you have ever visited the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C., you have seen the Spirit of St. Louis hanging from the ceiling in the main gallery. Now, that is the plane that Charles Lindbergh piloted when he became the first man to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean in 1927. You are probably aware that the flight made Lucky Lindy an international hero, the 1920s equivalent of Neil Armstrong, the first man to walk on the moon. Now, what you may not know is that Lindbergh was a strong anti-Semite who some historians say was sympathetic to the Nazi movement. On last week's show, I reported that the latest fad in some next world circles is searching for Adolf Hitler's secret location in the woods outside of one of the afterlife's cities. Former NBC anchorwoman Jessica Savitch attempted to get an interview with Hitler, but was rebuffed by the former German leader. Now, since that story aired, people have been scouring the video of it for clues to Der Fuhrer's location. Savitch has refused to help them, as she gave the Nazi her word that she wouldn't disclose where he is hiding. Now, according to one of my most trusted Next World sources, Lindbergh has gotten involved in the story. He has allegedly hired some men to find Hitler and quietly bring him to the pilot. If Lindbergh really is trying to arrange a secret meeting between himself and Hitler, things don't seem to be going as planned. Word is that some journalists have gotten wind of the alleged plot and are trying to find out if it is true. At least one of them has contacted Lindbergh, who says he has no comment about the story. Now, it seems obvious, at least to me, that if there was nothing to the story, Lindbergh would just deny it. So, one has to wonder just what the deal is here. Rumors are running rampant in the afterlife, and it looks like this is going to come to a head one way or another very soon. We will, of course, be keeping a close eye on this story as it develops, because it's a doozy. When we last heard from Vince McMahon Sr., father of the current chairman of World Wrestling Entertainment, he announced that he was setting up a company which would specialize in the production of Shakespeare's plays in a building resembling the Bard's original Globe Theater. Now, if that isn't unusual enough, as an added twist, most of the actors would be deceased former wrestlers who worked for the elder McMahon on the earthly plane. As I reported at the time, Mr. Shakespeare was on board with the plan, and he's since explained that he views working with the grapplers as a challenge. The new Globe Theater has finally been constructed, and it's now ready for the first play to take the stage. According to my Next World sources, an unlikely thespian has been added to the roster. He is none other than the Lizard King himself, former Doors frontman Jim Morrison. Long-time listeners to the report know the story of the Legends the band Morrison put together in the afterlife and how it dissolved, followed by the singer forming a new band called The Real Legends. It's a complicated tale and a little long to summarize here, so I recommend that you check out past editions of the report to catch up. Anyway, it seems that after that long, drawn-out debacle, Morrison has decided to hang up his microphone and try his hand at Shakespearean drama. My sources tell me that he kept after Messrs. McMahon and Shakespeare until they decided to relax their wrestler-only policy and give him a shot. To their surprise, Morrison turned out to be very good, so they added him to the company. Word is Jim will be taking to the boards in a few months in the Globe's first show, A Midsummer's Night's Dream, as Puck. Months back, I reported that John Belushi and Nicole Brown Simpson, former wife of OJ Simpson, were dating and planned on getting married. I'm now informed by a source that the two did get married recently. The couple held their reception in Tupac Shakur's restaurant, Pac's Place, with a large group of friends in attendance, as well as a crowd of paparazzi on the sidewalk outside. John and Nicole were snuck in and out of the restaurant through the service entrance to avoid the press. Now, although the party was supposed to be closed to prying eyes, some photos leaked out anyway. I'm told that Nicole looked radiant in what appeared to be a Vera Wang-style gown. John, who is trimmer than he was during his Saturday Night Live days, was dapper in a classic black tuxedo. And no sooner had the two tied the knot than they announced that they were adopting a 10-year-old Korean boy. I have no word on how the two met the boy, but I'm told that he is now calling himself Kim Belushi. A source reports spotting John and Kim in a park together recently and says that John was amusing his new son by doing his Marlon Brando impression for him. Lastly, before we go, I have a clarification on an earlier story. I reported that Whitney Houston had a tear-filled reunion recently with her daughter Bobby Christina in the next world. At the time, I didn't know the full details of the meeting. As you may know, Bobby Christina was in a coma after a drug overdose on the earthly plane. As has now been explained to me, while she was in the coma, she experienced what is known as a visitation to the afterlife, or in layman's terms, a near-death experience. So while she was able to meet with Whitney and her new husband Abraham Lincoln, she was not permanently in the next world. After the meeting, her essence returned to the earthly plane, and she has since come out of the coma. My afterlife sources tell me that she may or may not have any recall of the experience. Okay, friends, that's going to do it for this edition of the Celebrity Afterlife Report. Please come back next week for more up-to-the-minute gossip about all your favorite deceased celebrities. And please tell your friends that the report is now available on iTunes. I'm your host, the Celebrity Medium. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to the Celebrity Afterlife Report podcast. To ask a question about your favorite deceased celebrity, call 818-3-MY-DREAM. 818-3-MY-DREAM. 818-369-3732.